Hey, welcome to the Stephanie Stevens Show, where I help you discover the power of communication and the keys that unlock the doors to freedom in every area of your life. Hi, and welcome to the Stephanie Stevens Show, where we find your voice and discover your freedom. I am Stephanie Stevens, and I'm so grateful that you would take a few minutes to spend with me today. I realize that time is the one commodity you can't get more of and you can't get back. Well, I don't even know if that's true, actually. We'll talk about that in a later episode. You may be able to. But for now and for today, I'm just super grateful that you would spend this time with me. So this podcast is about finding ways to communicate and finding your voice, because communication is the key to freedom in many areas and arenas of your life. And one of the ways that I have learned to communicate is by asking questions. So the power of the question. Now, this is not original to me. I hate to admit it, but I did learn this from a very wise and discerning coach that I worked with. His name is John Bertruccio, and he was a business coach, and he and I were connected in another organization, and he offered to help me out in my own business. One of the paramount things that I took away from our time together in coaching was the power of a well-asked, well-placed question. And one of the questions that he would encourage me to ask is one that drove me nuts. And it was this: what's the lesson? What's the lesson? So in any given situation in life that presents itself as a challenge or by which you may find yourself triggered — isn't that a fancy word for the day? Triggered. Everyone is using the word triggered. I don't mean to use words and help add to the trite nature of those words, but what I mean when I say triggered is you find an emotional charge in your body, or you find yourself emotionally escalating or becoming agitated or frustrated at a situation or a person or any type of content. So that's what people these days call a trigger. So when you find that you experience that energy, right, moving around you and inside of you, the best place to start may be to ask yourself one of two questions. If it's a person that you believe is providing this energetic upheaval in your body and in your mind and in your emotions, here's the question: what's the lesson? Here's the idea. Ready? So-and-so, the name of the person triggering you, so-and-so is my teacher. What's the lesson? So when my coach used to say this to me, it would always be when I was complaining about something or someone. I would be complaining about this person's inability to meet, the level of expectation in the job or in, you name it, wherever the case may be. And he would quietly say, "So, Stephanie, so-and-so is your teacher. What's the lesson?" And that in and of itself, that comment, so-and-so is your teacher, in and of itself bothered me. And it bothered me because my ego would jump in and say, wait just a minute here. I don't think so. I'm their teacher. They're the one that needs the lesson. They need to learn to ABC and XYZ. And once I started softening and releasing that idea and just becoming curious, like, okay, I'll play. All right, I'll play. Let's just pretend they were my teacher. But let's go with it. Let's pretend they're my teacher. What's the lesson for me? This isn't about them. It's about me. What's the lesson for me? What is this person in their specific behavior teaching me about me right here, right now, and today? And how are you going to supersede that today? Because I promise you, my friend, if you open yourself up to the ability to ask that question, what's the lesson? You are going to grow. You have no choice, because you have now taken the power away from the person and you have brought that power back in front of you to utilize for your benefit. So let's say something happens and it's a work situation and somebody does or says something or doesn't do something that they were supposed to do. And it's just driving you bananas and you need to say something, and you need to confront the situation. And we will, over the course of time, talk about wonderful, wise, and peaceful ways of engaging a conflict. But if you know this issue needs to be addressed, before you even go to this person and ask for some time to resolve a conflict, remaining resolution-oriented, of course, solution-oriented, first and foremost, there's something in it for you. There's something here for you. There is a lesson for you that is intended to cause you to grow, because this situation, this person was brought to you for you so you could learn and grow. So my very specific invitation for you today is, when something comes up and somebody comes up in your sphere of influence that just does that thing to you on the inside where you want to make a funny face or cringe or say something under your breath, stop and take a breath and then ask yourself, if so-and-so is my teacher right now, in this situation, what's the lesson? And then just give it a quiet moment. Don't jump in and respond for yourself. Let your conscience and let the Holy Spirit jump in and answer that question for you. Because I promise an answer will come. Just got to give it time. Just got to give it that space. And by the way, when you breathe and you take a deep breath, you may not know this, but it resets your neurological system, especially a couple of nice deep belly breaths where you pull the air in from the bottom of your diaphragm. You pull it all the way up through your chest, through your lungs, and up through the top of your head, and breathe out. That actually resets physically your neurological system. So it's a great exercise anyway. But it also gives you a beat. It gives you a moment of separation in between that immediate initial urge to respond. Actually, it's an urge to react, isn't it? It's an urge to react emotionally, verbally. If you can take that breath and ask that question, if so-and-so is my teacher, what's the lesson for me? Beautiful things are going to come your way, and it's going to be an opportunity for you to grow. So, thank you for taking on this challenge for the day. I am with you in it. I'm going to do the same. I would never tell you or invite you to do something or ask you to do something that I myself am not 100% on board with doing myself and alongside of you. So enjoy. Thanks again for joining me. Please, if you'd be so kind, subscribe and share this with others. And I would love for you to rate the podcast so far. It helps me stay connected to amazing people just like you. Thanks again for listening, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks so much for listening to The Stephanie Stevens Show. Please remember to subscribe so we can stay connected and you never miss an episode of the podcast. Oh, and if you haven't left a rating yet, please be sure to do so. It helps incredible people like you find the podcast. We'll see you on the next episode.